political commentator, New York Times best-selling author, and yes, she happens to be related to me too. Ann Coulter, how you doing, Ann? It's been too long. I hope all's well.
Yes, everything's fine. I'm glad to hear everything's fine with you. I'm starting to think maybe we didn't need to shut the entire country down.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because in these parts, and I know we're going to get into politics here in a moment, but obviously college football, sports in general is huge in these parts, and there are a lot of people that are panicking that we won't have college football this fall, and they're a little concerned because, is it as serious? What about the mask? What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, for one thing, for the sports, I want to go to sports again, too. I don't understand why we can't all just wear masks. I do think the mask thing has become a little political with this obsession of trying to get Trump to wear a mask on the part of the media, and we know masks don't do a whole lot outdoors. But if that's the trade-off, I just don't understand how we're ending up being harangued on wearing a mask, and also the country is shut down. If we all agree to wear masks, then just, make it a requirement to wear a mask into a football stadium.
It is a primary day, an election day here in Alabama, and we've had, with our sports purview that we've had an interesting sports into one of the races, and that's Tommy Tuberville versus Jeff Sessions. People are forced to make a choice down here between those two. Is there any insight from that race from you, Ann?
Yes, although I'm a little nervous saying it on a sports station. Yes, Tuberville, fine football coach. Think you ought to bring him back. At least the Auburn fans like him. I guess the Ole Miss fans don't like him quite so much.
Right.
Or Texas Tech. I don't think I'd count on Tommy Tuberville's word. But this is just an incredibly important election for the country. You guys, the reddest, most magnificent patriotic state in the union, are now being represented in the Senate by a Democrat, Doug Jones. Democrats want to hold this seat so badly, and they do have a long record of waiting for an unknown candidate to get the nomination, and then just dumping, every scandal, every media attack they can imagine. So, for one thing, even putting issues aside, as if you knew nothing else, you should vote for Sessions because they're not going to be able to dump anything on him. He was a long-time, loyal, magnificent senator from the state of Alabama. Look at the Access Hollywood tape they pull on Trump. They did it to Mark Foley, a congressman. At the day after the primary, ABC starts launching the stories of some sleazy emails he had sent to mail pages. Jack Ryan in Illinois. So I'm really worried about holding the Senate. We only have 53 seats. Republicans could, I shouldn't say probably, Arizona is at risk. Maine is at risk. Across the country, the Senate isn't looking good. Who knows what's going to happen in the presidential election? I hope Trump wins, but he may not. Let's at least hold the Senate. If the Democrats get the House, the Senate, and the presidency, this is going to be the worst 4 years the country has ever gone through, and I seriously think the country may not recover. They will instantly pass an amnesty, which brings us to the issues on Tommy Tuberville.
Okay.
Again, I think he is a fine football coach, and I think Sessions would make a terrible football coach, but an excellent senator. Tuberville is very, very weak. He is in the Jared Kushner, Mitch McConnell school of whatever the Chamber of Commerce wants, and that's more and more cheap labor. I don't think we needed a lot of cheap foreign labor. I would put Americans first. That isn't the Make America Great Again policy. Sessions has been a leader and saved this country over and over again when he was in the Senate. Before Trump came along, and hopefully he'll get to saving the country before he's out of office. But in 2013, that amnesty, a full amnesty was sailing through, pushed by Marco Rubio, being pushed by Fox News. Why? Because the Chamber of Commerce, the employers wanted it, not the employees. And Sessions stood alone, taking the slings and arrows. Same thing on trade. Tuberville is not with Trump on trade. He is not with Trump on China. What you have is that people like him because, again, was a great football coach. And I guess, well, maybe, I don't know, do the Crimson Tide people like Tuberville? Maybe
well, you know, that is an interesting point, but I think the reason that Tuberville has gotten so popular and has done so well is because in Alabama, people are so in love with Trump. I mean, you go, there are Trump flags, Trump stickers. You go to any lake or boat, any water area, they're all over their boats and whatnot. So I think, you know, Sessions kind of, you know, turned his back on Trump, so we're not going to vote for that guy. We're going to vote for the next guy in line. Just happens to be Tommy Tuberville, who Barry and I have known for years. Nice guy, has always treated us well. Not a politician, obviously, but he's a football coach, but he's the next guy in line. You know, timing is everything, as they say. But if Sessions...
As for the alleged betrayal, this is, you know, well, for one thing, I love Trump supporters. I'm a little disappointed in Trump right now. I was shooting sporting clays this weekend in a rural part of the country, and I was so happy. It was the first time I got my hopes up, because exactly what you say. I saw cars covered in Trump bumper stickers. I saw a barn door, a huge Trump sign. I mean, that just means make America great again, and that is the small hope I have, that even if Trump loses this election, and he might, I go back and forth every day. As long as the Democrats tie themselves to Black Lives Matter, I think Trump has quite a good chance at re-election, but I'm not sure. Look, the reason this business about Trump going after Sessions, he's throwing a temper tantrum. It is one of the least attractive aspects about himself. I don't know if you've ever had a boss like this, but they blame all their mistakes on you. And that is totally what he is doing with Jeff Sessions. I am and was a practicing lawyer. There is absolutely no question but that Sessions had to recuse himself. There is also no question that there was going to be a special counsel with or without Sessions. The Democrats were raring to go. They were hysterical. The reason Trump got a special counsel was his own stupid move of going on Lester Holt and saying he fired Comey because of the Russia investigation. Why? Who knows? He has a boastful personality. And that was after this big charade of getting Sessions and Rod Rosenstein, who was appointed by Trump, not by Sessions, to write a letter saying Comey had to go. Trump also blew off Sessions' advice to fire Comey the moment he came into office. If he had done that, there would have been no, as the media called it, Saturday Night Massacre. No, Sessions followed the law. Everyone knows the Russia investigation was nonsense. It wasn't Sessions' fault. The real reason Trump keeps going after Sessions is because of his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. You know, the one legislative accomplishment of Trump, who keeps tweeting law and order, is to pass the First Step Act, which releases felons from prison. That's fantastic as the country is burning down. That's what he has to brag about. That was pushed by Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is a liberal Democrat from New York, and who fought Jared Kushner on his let's release criminals? Remember when Kim Kardashian showed up in the White House? That's why he pushed this bill. And, of course, his father was a convicted sleazy criminal. Jared Kushner's was. So he's totally on the side of the criminals. Who was fighting him on this? The Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, who is a law and order guy. That's why Kushner, and, of course, the amnesty, which Jared is also pushing, that's why President Kushner is opposed to Sessions. This isn't Trump against Sessions. This is Jared Kushner against Sessions.
If Sessions is elected, how will he work with Trump? How will that relationship be rekindled?
Well, again, we don't know if Trump...
Assuming Trump is elected. Sure.
He will be the most loyal senator to Trump. Why? Because Trump won the presidency on Jeff Sessions' issues. And Jeff Sessions never abandoned them. China, trade, immigration. Tuberville is on the other side of those issues. Last summer, he launches his campaign by saying everyone who crosses the border oh, they just want jobs. We should let them become citizens the same way we became citizens. Because you remember your relatives swimming across the Rio Grande, entering the country illegally, stealing Social Security cards to become citizens.
And it's interesting how he's, kind of changed his tune now. He's all about I'm helping him build the wall. And, amnesty's been a big part of some of his campaign commercials of late as well. I will say this, Ed, I think Sessions has got a tough road, and I think it's just because so many people here in the state of Alabama are so loyal to Trump, and if Trump says vote for this guy, they're going to do it.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen. Washington certainly thinks the Alabamans can be scammed again. The upside is a lot of athletes who have run for office, Lynn Swann, Richard Petty, they look great. People cheer for them. It doesn't work out. I'm putting my hopes in that. And I'm putting my hopes in the people of Alabama being able to see that Sessions is the true Trumpster. And the danger of losing that Senate seat. Doug Jones is an incumbent. It's very hard to take out an incumbent, even in the most wonderful, reddest state in the Union. It's stunning I recall that the exact same thing happened to put a Democrat in the Senate. It was Donald Trump endorsing Luther Strange. Why? Because Jared Kushner and Mitch McConnell told him to endorse Luther Strange instead of Mo Brooks, the true Trumpster candidate. And that's how you end up with Roy Moore. When did they launch all that child molestation stuff? The media, that is to say, the media waits for Roy Moore to securely have the nomination, and then they do the dump. And I think that's what you're going to see with Tuberville, and you're going to end up with 6 years of Doug Jones.
Talking here with Ann Coulter, a lot of people have expressed to us surprise about some of your criticisms of President Trump. Another Senate race that is obviously of national interest, that your stance surprises a lot of people on, is the Senate race in Kentucky with Mitch McConnell and Amy McGrath.
Yes. You will recall that you probably won't. You've been watching Alabama football, like a good red-blooded American should be. But for years, I've been the one pushing for McConnell, defending these rhino Republicans, saying we need a Republican Senate. Just vote for the Tea Partiers. Please stop primarying the ones we have until we have a majority. Mitch McConnell isn't that bad. He did something utterly beyond the pale, despicable, unforgivable last week, and that is Chris Kobach, the greatest living Republican. He's like Trump without the problems. He's the original MAGA candidate, very smart, running for Senate in Kansas, good, strong, tall Midwesterner, and has been very good on immigration for a long time. He was supposed to be Trump's Homeland Security Secretary, but Kushner told him, no, make it someone who won't fulfill your agenda. So anyway, he's running for Senate now, and I mention this not out of elitism, but to warm you up for the slander that Mitch McConnell is launching on Chris Kobach right now. He's Harvard, Yale Law, Oxford. Mitch McConnell last week started a $2 million advertising campaign against Chris Kobach, calling him a white nationalist. White nationalist. This crap we get from the media every day. And why? Because he agrees with me, with Trump voters on immigration. He's calling you people white nationalists. And that's a Mitch McConnell campaign. So, yeah, I went off on McConnell. I desperately want a Republican Senate, but enough is enough. We can't have these traitors in the U.S. Senate. There's got to be an example made.
And I'm just blown away that Joe Biden is the Democratic nominee. This guy stumbles and bumbles and doesn't look like he's all there with us. But no doubt there are people behind the curtain pulling the strings. And to me, that is the scariest thing of all. If he gets elected, he's shaking hands and kissing babies. Somebody else is running the show.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's going to be like the Mueller investigation. I was surprised throughout the special counsel investigation because you look up Bob Mueller. He has a very impressive career. Sort of an establishment type, but a Marine, just impressive background, and I was stunned by all of the leaks and the lies coming from the Mueller investigation. Well, then the day Mueller testified, oh my gosh, the curtain was revealed. We saw the man behind. He was obviously he has dementia. In fact, it was very sad. It made me cry. It reminded me of my father in his declining days, and it was a sad thing to watch. Joe Biden is the exact same thing, and you are 100% right. This is the Democrats' new plan with their crazy progressives. They'll find some senile old white guy, put him up as the figurehead, and then Andrew Weissman will be behind the stage, doing everything. Frankly, it's a little like what we have with Trump and Kushner.
Interesting. I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah, no. So, as you see the polls. Biden's got a lead. Hillary had a lead 4 years ago. How's that going to shake out in November? What does Trump have to do, or what does Trump have to avoid to win in November?
Well, he should definitely get rid of Jared Kushner, but it seems very clear that that's not going to happen. It would be so easy for Trump to win. It's funny, this whole election, I've never seen an election where it's each side trying to lose, doing everything they can to lose. So it's just a matter of who loses the most on Election Day, who did the last dumb thing. Trump will do something, say something embarrassing, and you'd think, Democrats could use that. Oh, no. The media turns around and says, we can top that. So I go back and forth every day what Trump ought to be doing, and that's why I'm so annoyed at this First Step Act releasing criminals. I mean, right now, I hope Alabama has not seen much of it, but these riots, both Black Lives Matter and Antifa, the statues being torn down, history being destroyed, we have lunatics, literally mentally ill people and convicted criminals running wild, and nobody is doing anything about it. Not the president, not the governors, not the mayors. So any candidate who is strong on law and order, I think could, but you have to actually do something, could really clean up right now. And instead, what do you have Trump doing? He's out there tweeting, I released criminals. I'm ending mass incarceration. I got to tell you, I think that's not where America is right now. I think we'd like a little more mass incarceration of people who will do us harm.
And I tell people that it's results, it's bottom line, and there's things that Trump tweets or says that I get a little uneasy about. Maybe he does some things that are not presidential. I get that. He's not a politician.
I don't mind that.
But the bottom line is the economy was the best it's ever been. Minority employment, Hispanic and African American, was at its lowest. I mean, there were more jobs out there than that sector had ever seen. I mean, people were making money. And they've thrown everything at Trump, from Russia collusion to Playboy models to you name it, and they couldn't bring him down. And the coronavirus, which I have my suspicions of how that started and originated and who was behind it all, was maybe their last straw to bring him down. But when people get into that voting booth and that curtain's drawn, I don't know how you could not vote for a guy that had your country in its best economic shape that it's been in our lifetime.
Yes, I not only agree with that, but throw in how the Democrats are behaving. They are tying themselves at the hip to Black Lives Matter. They will not condemn statues, beautiful works of art being ripped down, decapitated, set on fire, and thrown into the heart. They will not. Nancy Pelosi was defending that. They are enabling the lunatics in their own party. And if it comes down to, and by the way, I love Trump's tweets. I wish he would do more of that stuff. My problem is that he isn't doing that stuff, which is why I'm gently encouraging him on Twitter myself. But if your choice is, I keep telling my friends who are also annoyed with Trump betraying his supporters, I keep telling them our choice isn't Trump or smart Trump. It's Trump or a party that has tied itself to Black Lives Matter. This is a binary choice. And they're going to cover that up as the election gets closer. They'll gin up their base in the summer. That will all go away. They'll pretend to be the party of law and order. And But I hope you're right. I mean, I did get some hope this weekend, not only seeing the barn doors with huge Trump signs.
And I'll tell you, next time you're in town, we're heading down to South Alabama, around Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, and I'm telling you, 80% of the boats have a Trump 2020 flag on it. And my favorite now is it's the bottom of it, instead of "Keep America Great," it says "No More BS." But BS
I like
is spelled,
that.
yeah, BS is spelled out. My last thing, Ann, this is what I would love to see. You know, and I got to tell you, I'm like that guy that's trying to quit smoking. I see the pack, and I got to reach for it, even though I don't smoke. But it's CNN. I'll flip it over there from time to time just to see what they're talking about. They never talk about these cities that are Democrat-run, that the crime is through the roof, rioting, looting, the whole deal. You'll never hear about these Democratic mayors that can't get it stopped. And as I sit there and listen to it, which I don't for long because I get so frustrated, I think to myself, if only Ann Coulter could sit here and debate Chris Cuomo or Don Lemon, I would pay all I could to see and hear that. Yeah.
Me too. There's a reason, I think, for that, for them not putting me on. No, it's funny. I watch a lot of MSNBC and CNN because they are so insane. So it's getting a teensy bit boring. And they're just living in an alternate universe. But, I mean, I suppose the compensating factor is we're a country of 320 million people. And even, you know, the highest rated cable news show gets, 2-3 million viewers. Now, what they hear on those shows goes out to their friends and neighbors. So it is influential, but not that influential.
And I look at my watch. I can't believe we've already spent close to 30 minutes with you. We could go another, but we're getting tight on time, and we always appreciate it. We're going to get everybody out to the polls today. I can't guarantee anything for you, but I know people enjoy.
Don't let me down, Alabama. Vote Sessions.
But thank you so much for the time.
Yes,
Great
we'll
job.
talk soon. Look forward to seeing you soon, too, and I'll tell everybody hello for you.
Good, thank you very much. Good to talk to you.